Hi everyone, my name is Kim, and today I'm going to introduce you to Reggae, and we're going to learn a little bit about how he moves through his exhibit. So Reggae here is our second largest Atlantic harbor seal, and you can see that he has a lot of blubber on his body. So anytime I move around any body part, you can see a little bit of a jiggle. And that's because of the blubber that he has to keep him warm. And so because of this body shape, even though he's larger at just about 200 pounds, you can see he's got a torpedo-shaped body. And that really helps him navigate through water. And so when he's gonna swim, what he'll do is he'll move his hind flippers back and forth, and then he'll use these front flippers for steering. These front flippers are really short, but they do help him move around. And he's got some nails on there as well in case he needs to grab at anything. Good boy, buddy. Now, what else helps him navigate through his exhibit is actually something that you might not think of, and that's his whiskers. And so his whiskers are very important for navigating. And if you look at them, you can see anytime I move my fingers any different way, his whiskers are the first thing to react. And that's because of how sensitive they are. So these whiskers are actually called vibrissae, and they're rippled. So if you look up close, you might be able to see a little bit of rippling in these whiskers. And so that really helps him navigate his exhibit. He uses those whiskers to search different turns, look at different toys, find different food, and find his way around. Now, those whiskers are great, but he also does have eyes and ears just like us. So he can look around his exhibit. He's got great eyes. Good job, buddy. And he also has ears on either side of his head. Now, these ears do look like little pinholes. That's because his ears are more internal than they are external as opposed to ours. And so these guys are called earless seals, but that doesn't mean they don't have ears. That just means they're a little bit harder to find. Now, Reggae also does have a wonderful belly. So you can see just how big he is and how he uses this flipper and moves it all around. Good job. As if he was gonna move through the exhibit. Now his exhibit here, he does have a shallow end, which is on the far side of the exhibit. And he has a deeper end, which is kind of where we are now. Ooh, that's a big fish. Mixed in with different wash spaces and rock spaces as well. So in their natural habitat, they do spend more of their time in the water. And they're built for that. You see, they don't have those hips that they can walk around on all fours on. They do have to use kind of like an inchworm type of movement to get up on the rocks. And so if he was to climb up on any of these rocks, he would kind of look a little silly doing that little slug movement to be able to get up and stay up. Now, the time when you would see them the most out on the rocks is during the summer. So if anybody visits Cape Cod or even up in Maine, you may see a lot of seals on those beaches. And that's because that's when they molt and they breed and they give birth. And so that's probably the biggest time you'll see them on land. Otherwise, they'll just hang out here in the water. Good job, buddy. Now, he does also have this wonderful mouth with teeth and tongues. And that way he can get all of his fish right down in there. Now, as I'm feeding him, you might notice that he's not really chewing his food. He just swallows it whole. Just like that. Good job, buddy. Wonderful. So those teeth he would use if he really had a harder piece of fish or shellfish that he would need to break open. Now, he does also have a wonderful attribute that we can show off here, and that is his tongue. So you can see that right there. It is a forked tongue. Good job, buddy. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we hope to see you at our next virtual visit.